Okay, so here is a Khan Academy assignment on rotating shapes, and it is definitely more difficult in Khan Academy than it would be in person on a piece of paper where you have tracing paper. So you could technically do this with your Khan Academy. It's a little bit difficult because your Chromebooks are touchscreen, but you could get a piece of like parchment paper or baking paper or even like tissue paper or any paper that you can see through. So you could trace that image up here. So this image here, the team, not the square I just clicked, but the funky little quadrilateral there, TEAM, or quadrilateral team. You could sketch that and then try to rotate it about the origin, but I'm going to do my best to teach you how to do it on Khan Academy using just your little drawing tool and maybe taking notes on the side. Okay, and then we'll also go through their hints and talk about how they describe to do it so you kind of understand. So here's what I would do. First of all, we're told that it is rotated negative 180 degrees about the origin. So around 0, 0, which is the origin right here. Now, negative 180 degrees would be the same as rotating it a positive 180 degrees because 180 is exactly half of a full circle 360. If I did it in a full circle, we would just end up right back here. It would be the exact same spot. Okay? So 180 is it's definitely gonna end up somewhere in that lower left quadrant where the square is right now. So let's just focus on moving. Let's move point M first. Okay, kind of just like how they did in the video, but what I didn't like about his video on rotating shapes is that he did not erase his previous markings that he drew. So what we're going to do is we're going to erase markings as we go. So looking at how far away the M is from my point here, I'm going to draw the hypotenuse here. But really what's important is from the origin, I'm 7 away. Okay? And then here, the M is, this one would be 6 away. Yeah, 6 away. All right? So I know that I have 7 along here and 6 along here. So this is kind of like a slope triangle. And this is my slope here. This is the hypotenuse. So this creates a right angle here. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to transform this triangle right here. I'm going to rotate this triangle 180 degrees around the origin. So since it's a negative 180 degrees, that means I'm going clockwise. Clockwise is negative. Okay, counterclockwise, if you saw my other video, I did talk about this. Counterclockwise is positive. It's kind of counterintuitive here, but just remember this for rotating. This is how we do it. Okay, so I have to rotate this guy 180 degrees across this graph. So basically, let's see here. If I were to rotate just one line at a time, so let's just rotate this line, just this line, 180 degrees. So I'm going to take this line and start rotating it this way. So I'm flipping it a full 180 degrees. And one way to look at this as well is to see, let me show you something real quick. Okay, so let's do this one. So it's to see that you have 90-degree angles here and here. So if I wanted to move that blue angle 180 degrees, I go 190 plus another 90. So that blue side there should end up just right underneath itself on the y-axis there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and erase these here so there's not as much drawing here. Whoops. So this blue line is the line that we are moving. Okay, so you can kind of imagine like if I were to just start rotating it across, I'm just kind of like moving it down. Okay, I'm rotating it this way until I finally get all the way 180 degrees and it's 7 units long. So this is the new line of that blue line there. Okay, so I just showed you all these little lines as though like I were actually moving it and rotating it at that same time I was talking. All right, so there is the new blue line of 7 units long. So now what we want to do is say, okay, well then the 6 unit line, let's see that here. So if we want to rotate this 6-unit line, okay, 180 degrees, well, let's just see if we were to do, you want to try to imagine now, if I were to rotate it 180 degrees, oops, it's not going to end up right here. That's not far enough away. That would be only a 90-degree rotation there, okay? So to rotate it a full 180, it's going to go over here on this side, and it is 6 units long here. All right, so that means that this is my new hypotenuse, right? So that means this point right here is M prime. That is my new point. So you can now see how I rotated this triangle here clockwise 180 degrees. Okay, this triangle came here. So this is what it should look like. So now I'm going to erase some of these markings here so that we can now focus just on the fact that we just got the point M, right? So we got that, but now we have to get all the others, okay? So we have point M, that one is all done. We're good to go there. So now let's try moving point A. All right, so point A, first we want to draw the hypotenuse. And now what we can draw is this thing here. We go up 3 units and then to the left 2 units, okay? So now if I were to rotate, let's just rotate the red line first, right? I'm going to rotate this red line 180 degrees. I'm just going to be turning it, and then it ends up right here, 3 units long. So that's 180 degrees of that red one rotated, okay? So now for that blue one to be rotated, it's a little bit difficult to see here. Did I do? Yeah, I did that right. So one thing that you can remember is that, oh yeah, so like the hypotenuse is going to go straight out. Like it's going to be lined up with wherever the other 2 is. So here, I know that my blue side has to go right here because that would be in the next quadrant over. And look at there. So you can see where the red, those are 180 degrees away from each other, the blue, and then the black, okay? So you can see how the triangle itself was moved 180 degrees to the right. It really takes practice with the perception of it. So now I know that right here, this is my new point A prime, okay? So now if I erase all this mess here, you can see how now I have A prime. And again, this is my point of rotation right here. I've accidentally erased that. That's the point of rotation here. All right, so now I have A and M. Let's go ahead and look at E, okay? So for E, I always like to do, it's been really helpful for me like using the y-axis here. So it's 4 units up and then 2 units to the right, and so then here's the hypotenuse. So I know the hypotenuse is going to keep going like straight across like that once I rotate it 180 degrees, okay? So let's just go and rotate that red side first. So if I were to like start bringing it down here, it's going to come all the way and then bam, 4 units down along the y-axis. That is 180 degrees of a rotation right there, okay? So now, once I'm here, all right, I know that the blue also has to rotate a full 180 degrees over. So since this is in this quadrant here, we skip this quadrant and it's going to be in this one here because it's 180 degrees. So we're moving over 2 whole quadrants. And now you see that our oops, gosh darn it, it keeps not switching back to pen. There we go. Our hypotenuse is right here. You see how they're connected. Okay, so this tells me that my new point B, or that was E, sorry, not B. E is right here. So this is going to be the E prime point. Okay, so let's erase it and let's see how it's starting to look here. So now we've had the M, E, and the A. Okay, so we're getting there. You notice here that the M and the E are not connected here. They're not connected. But the M is connected to the A and the E is connected to the A. So now you can kind of start to see our shape forming. We have this top part of the shape here. Okay, so now what I want to do is let me see here. So for the T, we can draw another line, of course. And I'm just going to keep using my y-axis. So my y-axis I have to go down 2 and to the right 3. And then here's my little right triangle for my T. Okay. So now what I have to do is redraw that. You could always start off with drawing the hypotenuse first, but it's a little bit easier if you move like the red one over. Okay, so I'm rotating it up. So it's going to be directly across from it. And then the blue is what gets a little bit tricky, but the blue is in this one, so we skip this one. And then it ends up being in this quadrant right here, which we have to go 3. So the blue is 3 units long. So now you can see that our hypotenuse is a straight line. So that's super important with whenever you're trying to draw the new point for the triangles, that the hypotenuses are straight lines. Okay. So now my new point for T is rotated 180 degrees around that origin. Our new point here is T prime. So let's see how that looks. And again, this was the point of rotation here. So now I can connect. Let me erase this and rewrite it. It was in the way. E prime. So now T prime goes to E prime and T prime goes to M prime. So now you can look and see at the points here. So obviously, like once I draw this, I'm not going to be able to memorize where I need to make the points at for my Khan Academy. So I'm going to write them down off to the side. Imagine that this is like a piece of paper off to the side here. Okay, so I'm going to write down that T prime is at the point -3, +2. E prime is at the point -2, -4. A prime is at the point 2, -2. And M prime is at the point -6, -7. Okay, so these are the points that I need to plot. So I'm going to actually go ahead and write them off to the side for myself while you jot those down. So I have -3, 2, -2, -4, 2, -2, and -6, -7. So I need to plot these points to make this shape. So I'm going to hide my scratch pad, and I'm going to drag these to the points where I need them at. Okay, so I have one that's -3, +2, a -2, -4, a 2, -2 here, and then a -6, -7 right there. Let me make it looks a little bit weird. It looks like it's not. Did I do that right? -2. Well, let's see here. If I show my, yeah, I'm a little bit off. Which one did I write down wrong? Oh, this one for A prime. It should be at 2, -3, not at 2, -2. So you see that I was able to kind of check my answer there, because look, the shape's not the same. So I need to move this point down to the -3. There we go. And that looks way better. I just did not draw it as straight on my end on my scratch pad. Okay, so like right here, I just didn't draw that line as perfect as I should have, but they do go perfectly. Okay, so that's how you do it. It is a lot of work, so I might not grade you guys as strictly on this one, but I do need to see that you've tried it. Okay, so here, the hints will definitely help you out. It says, let's start by rotating point M. Imagine a circle that passes through point M and with the center at the origin. So this one looks pretty nice because with the 180 degrees, they can do this. They can just draw half of a circle and go straight across. But you have to make sure that you were able to go the right amount across the whole circle, okay, and across the graph. So this one, if you guys notice, basically what happened was we were just changing the signs of our points, of our coordinates. But this is specific only to whenever we are rotating something by 180 degrees. So that's why I didn't do it this way, because I didn't want you to think you could do that every single time. But definitely take a look through this and read how they did it with specifically 180 degrees. You will learn that that's going to become the simplest rotation that you do. But for this one, I taught you guys how to do it with any rotation. Okay, and check that. Cool. All right, so now this one is 270 degrees. So this one's a little bit more difficult. So let's go through this guy. I'm just going to move this one like out of the way over here. Okay, just out of the way. So what we're going to do first is we know that we're going 270 degrees. So if it's a positive, that means I'm going to the left 270 degrees. So let's just look at like a little graph here. So if I'm starting, so like if I have just a little graph here, this just one turn is 90 degrees. Okay. A full 2 turns is 180 degrees. And then again, oh wait, I didn't change the color. Here we go. And then if I did another turn, so plus another 90, right? Plus another 90 degrees, 180 plus 90 is 270 degrees. So you notice here that 270 is also the same as going this way, 90 degrees. So rotating counterclockwise, 270 degrees is the same as rotating clockwise, 90 degrees. Which one do you think would be easier to do, to go all the way around like this, or to just rotate 90 clockwise? Okay, so this is where you want to really understand what they mean by rotating. I think the 90 degrees would be way easier to rotate, just clockwise. Okay, so our center of rotation is about the origin. All right, and again, this would be so much nicer if you guys just had tracing paper. You would hold your pen down at the middle right here of this, wherever your point of rotation is where you hold down your pencil, and then you would have this image traced on your paper, and then you would rotate it one turn, 90 degrees, to be able to see your new points. Unfortunately, with distance learning, we're having to try some new things with rotating, reflection, translating, all that stuff, okay? So let's see here. So let's try to, this is point A, okay? Point A here. It's a little bit tiny, but it's right there, point A. So I'm going to draw my little hypotenuse again, and then I'm going to draw my little slope triangle. So to turn something just 90 degrees, and we're going 90 degrees clockwise, so to the right, I'm going to take this red line and make sure it goes to the right, a full 90-degree turn, just like that. So you see here, this went to the right 90 degrees. This is 90 degrees. Okay? So now if you were to do the same thing with the blue line here, okay, with the blue line, I'm going to take that blue line and go 90 degrees, and it's going to end up right here. And it was only 1 unit long. So now this new point here, whoops. Now this new point here is A prime. All right, so now watch. If I were to erase my little markings, you can kind of see how I rotated it 90 degrees to the right. Okay? And then if you would have seen, I would have had my little triangle if I had drawn the hypotenuse. So now let's try to move point E. Okay? So here's my hypotenuse of point E. I can draw one of my sides red here, and then my other side blue here. So again, first I'm just going to do my red side. I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees this way, so it's going to be 2 units long. And now the blue side is going to go right on top of it, and this one is 7 units long. So if I had rotated this blue side to be standing up, this is where it's going to become. Okay? So now if I draw my hypotenuse, you will see that I rotated that triangle there on the left here, this triangle, 90 degrees to the right. So this is how it looks now. So this point up here is my new point E prime. It got rotated 90 degrees to the right. Okay, so now I'm going to erase the other markings of these triangles. Oops, I'm going to do that. There we go. All right, there we go. So now you see we have E prime and A prime. Okay, so now let's go ahead and rotate the S 90 degrees clockwise, which is to the right. So I always draw a line to my point of rotation. And now I'm going to use, so I can put a red here on the y-axis, and then this blue line here. And I mean, I could have done it like here to here as well, but it doesn't really matter which way you do it. So now for the red, I'm going to the right 90 degrees. So it's just going to end up here on the x-axis instead. And again, it's 2 units long. So then for the blue, I know that the blue is connected to the end of the red right here. And this blue is 7 units long. So it's going to go whoop, right up there. And now here is my new triangle. So then my new point right here is going to be S prime. All right, so now you can kind of see how the bottom left triangle right here, this triangle, is now rotated 90 degrees to the right to become this triangle here. Okay? So let me go ahead and erase some of the doodles here. There we go. All right, so now we have our triangle. S prime, E prime, A prime. Whoops. Here we go. And you can see how long is the side length. SE should be 4 units. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, 4 units. Okay. E to A, here from 7 to 1, this is 6 units. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, 6 units long. Perfect. And then this one's the diagonal. So as long as your sides are the same length, then you are good to go. Okay, then the hypotenuse is also going to be the exact same length. All right, so again, on my separate piece of paper, I'm going to write down my new points here for these 3 points. So then I can draw the triangle. So S prime is the point -2, 7. E prime is the point +2, 7. And A prime is the point +2, 1. Okay, so I'm going to write those off to the side for me because I'm going to go out of that drawing pretty soon here. -2, 7, 2, 7, and 2, 1. Okay, so these are a little bit tedious, but again, I'm not going to be super strict on these, okay? As long as I see that you really tried, then we'll be good. So I need to go to -2, 7, way up there, +2, 7, and then 2, 1. And this is a rotation of 90 degrees, clockwise or 270 degrees counterclockwise, okay? Let's go and see here. Yep. So you can also see their solution after you're done, okay? So it's a super good idea to read through it and see how they did it, why counterclockwise, all that stuff, okay? They really do explain their method. So definitely take a look at that. Okay, so hopefully this helped you out with a bit with rotating shapes online. It is much easier in person with tracing paper. I just really want you to get the general idea of what it means to rotate a shape. Okay, so good luck with the rest of this project.